Hey, this is Chase. This is about my 5th time attempting this, so I'm going to really get right into it. I want to share my testimony. Okay, so right now I'm in Utah. I'm in Mount Carmel right now. I'm about to get through Kanab. I picked up a load of potatoes out of Pocatello, Idaho on the 15, and now I'm on the 89 coming down into Arizona. I'm going to deliver them in Casa Grande, Arizona, and I'll show you where I'm at. It's 2:21 Mountain Time, very beautiful place. So I'm going to get right into it, okay? The Lord has always had His hand in my life. I've always believed in the Lord because He placed me with a single mother who believed in the Lord, and my dad did not believe in the Lord, so I would go back and forth. But I've always believed God really had His hand in my life. As far as being converted, that's later, okay? But I've always believed, okay? I've always knew that was God's word. This is the truth. This is big. This is everything. This is the history of the universe. God runs the show. Jesus is the Savior. He's everything. And so I remember as a kindergartner, being in kindergarten, seeing the first graders, and this was like my first week in kindergarten ever. It's so vivid. I just remember seeing them laughing and joking around, and I'm like, man, something just doesn't seem right. There's something missing here. It's shallow. It just, there's no life in it. But at the time, I didn't think like that. I was just not attracted to that. So I've always was withdrawn because God has had His hand in my life. So I'll get right to all the way past 8th grade to 2011. So in 2011, I started to have these doubts. I started to have some doubts. It wasn't because I didn't believe in the Bible, but Satan is really trying to deceive this world. And 2011 was when I was 13, so I was at that age where you start to think for yourself, okay? All this evolution stuff, all this evolution nonsense really was getting to me, and it bothered me. And it wasn't so much that it was, so-called scientific. It was more spiritual, looking back. It was the spiritual darkness that bothered me more than it was scientific, which it's not scientific. So really how I really got into, besides the Lord having His hand in my life, always believing, that's just one thing, okay? But it was in 2011 where I really started to think about these things. I remember being very concerned. I was just about to go into high school. I was 9th grade. I remember having these doubts. And I really started thinking. It really started to get me thinking. So I remember doubting the Bible and doubting heaven and doubting all these things. It wasn't so much because I really doubted it. It was a spirit of doubt. It was trying to come after me. It was Satan. He was trying to get me to not believe. And it bothered me, and something in me was like, no. And I saw everybody else eating it up. Everybody else was eating it up. And I started going, but how does evolution create male and female? And how does evolution create DNA and information? So I really was like, something's not right. And then I remember a certain individual from church gave me these videotapes. And this guy named Kent Hovind was basically talking about the age of the earth, evolution, the deception of it, why it's so scientifically ridiculous.
The second law of thermodynamics tells us everything tends toward disorder. If you leave something alone for a while, it's going to rot, rust, die, fall apart, or break down. Nothing gets better by itself. That's what the Bible teaches. The heavens are the works of thy hands. They shall perish. They wax old as doth a garment. Nothing gets better by itself. Take a look at your hairdo when you wake up in the morning. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Everything tends toward chaos, right? Here is Sue at 20. Here she is at 90. And here she is at 3,000. Everything tends toward chaos, folks, all right? All you have to do is nothing, and everything deteriorates, collapses, breaks down, wears out. That's what the second law is all about. Everything is getting worse. Nothing's getting better. But the textbook says humans probably evolved from bacteria more than 4 billion years ago. Was your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa bacteria? Evolutionists will say, well, Hovind, don't you know if you add energy, you can overcome the second law of thermodynamics? And the Earth receives energy from the sun, so the Earth is an open system, and that's how we overcome the law. I understand the argument, but they're missing the point. The universe is a closed system, number one. Number two, adding energy is destructive unless there's a special mechanism to use and harness the energy. See, the Japanese added a bunch of energy to Pearl Harbor one day. They didn't organize a thing for us, did they? So a few years later, we added some energy to a few of their cities, didn't we? You know, returned the favor. Didn't organize anything for them. Adding energy is destructive. The sun adds energy to the roof of your house, but it's going to destroy your house. The sun's energy will destroy the entire house. The sun's energy will destroy the roof on your car. It will destroy your upholstery. The sun's energy will destroy your paint job. There's only one thing that can actually use the sun's energy: chlorophyll. And one little plant cell is more complex than a space shuttle. Cover more on that on video 4. Now, evolution violates the second law, and evolution is wrong. Okay? This textbook shows the kids a fossil starfish. And it says 3.4 billion years old, the remains of the early ancestors of modern human beings. Was your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa starfish? How about Discover Magazine, November 2004. Was your ancestor a sea sponge? This is your ancestor. Wow, who's your daddy? Now, please don't laugh at this next picture, okay? This is going to be a picture of my brother when he first wakes up in the morning after his first cup of coffee. Anyway, this will be my brother. Now, please don't laugh. He can't help it. There he is, right there. Notice what the textbook says. 30 million years ago. Now, kids, let me translate that for you. Anytime a textbook says millions of years ago, what it means is long ago and far away. That means a fairy tale is coming next, okay? That's your warning, fairy tale coming up. 30 million years ago, these critters evolved. Oh, there's that word again. You got to watch that one. It says they're ancestral to both humans and modern apes. Ancestors to humans? Grandpa? What big eyes you have, Grandpa.
And there was about 7 tapes. And boy, man, that just brought so much relief to me watching those, because it really got me passionate and thinking deep about deception. And I did not want to be deceived. Even in 2011, would I say I was walking with the Lord? No. But I would say that the Lord had His hand in my life, and that I saw truth. I started to see truth emerge. Well, okay, fast forward to 2013, 2 years later, because I was all caught up in, you know, the temporary. I was all creative and artistic, which isn't bad, but I was using it for temporary vanity. I was really caught up in video games and all that sort of stuff, and computers and technology and all that sort of thing. So in 2013, that hit me again. That spirit of doubt hit me again. I was in 11th grade. This is when I really started to go, okay, I need to start walking with the Lord. Like, this is when I actually had this thing about wanting to follow the Lord. Really wanting to actually start reading. So I started reading the 1-year Bible. You know, church always talked about it. Read the 1-year Bible. So I thought, all right. My mom tried to get me to do it. So I started doing it. Okay? Totally lost momentum probably within the 4th month of it. Didn't stick with it, forgot about it, all caught up in, you know, just my own creativeness, I guess, my own adventure seeking. The one with the chest on top of it?
The snow. The, like,
Yeah,
Mount
that
Everest
one.
There's a chest on top of there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What's in it?
I'm not sure. They probably put like really valuable stuff in there. But it wasn't really the Lord. It was my own thing. It was video games. It was this and that. I don't want to go into detail. I'm just trying to explain what happened. But I've always been a deep thinker. God gave me a deep thinking mind. And He's actually, in a way, taken it away because I've acknowledged the danger of it. So He's taken measures of it away. But I feel like right now, as I'm giving this video, He's giving me some of it back so I can deliver this better. In 2013, aside from what I saw from Ken Hovind and how evolution's so ridiculous, I mean, I don't need to get into the details of it, but I started to think about the fourth dimension. I thought, who's to say that there's only 3 dimensions? Why not 4 dimensions? If God is outside of time and He created time, space, and matter, He created this 3-dimensional world. Like, He knew what He was doing. He knew that there would be front, back, left, right, up, and down. This was the first thought that really got me to seek God. It was just a deep thought. It was so raw. I'm like, man, this is weird. The 4th dimension. Then it started to make sense. The spiritual realm, what's going on beyond this, what we see in front of us. At this point, you might be thinking one of 2 things. Number 1, what does this have to do with God? And number 2, I still don't understand this 4th dimension thing. I'm going to explain a little bit more in depth, just so you can understand why this was such a big deal to me. You see, we live in a 3-dimensional world. That means there are 3 directions that can represent everything in this 3-dimensional world. You can't map out our world in 2 dimensions, you have to map it out in 3 dimensions. That's just how it works. We have 3 directions. Well, the thing with the 4th dimension is thinking outside the box, quite literally, because a box resembles 3 dimensions. But the 4th dimension resembles 4 dimensions, or I should say 4 directions. If we start off with a point resembles just a point in space. There's no direction, but the moment we add another point somewhere else, it demands a new direction. This would be a line, or the 1st dimension, just left and right. Now if we take the 1st dimension and we duplicate it in a different direction, we're now demanding 2 lines are joined by another direction, which would be up and down. So now we have 2 dimensions and we have a square. If we take this square, which is 2 dimensions, you could picture it like a piece of paper, duplicate it in a different direction, imagine it getting closer to you, like right now. Now you have 2 sheets of paper connected in a different direction. Not only left and right, up and down, but now this is forward and backward. So now you have a cube, and this cube is now the 3rd dimension. So the 3rd dimension is pretty much what we see in front of us. Everything is 3-dimensional. Everything in the universe can be squashed down into that cube. It can be mapped out in that cube. But the 4th dimension explains why we cannot always see the spiritual realm. And that is what I'm talking about. The observable universe, or our planet, we could just say that, could be within that small cube. But the spiritual realm could be on that bigger cube. We can't directly see them, but they're right there seeing us. They see us right there. So this is the thought that really started to get me seeking God, because I started to see the reality of the spiritual realm. That it just wasn't something I believed in, but it was something that I could actually see made sense. Alright, so you're probably wondering, what is this that I'm trying to show you? This rotating thing that you're seeing, this is called a Tesseract. This has everything to do with the 4th dimension. So before you start giving up on trying to understand this, I'm going to walk you through this. This is a 3-dimensional shadow of a 4-dimensional hypercube. So that means something greater than a cube. It's 4-dimensional. It's not 3-dimensional, it's 4-dimensional. You're seeing a shadow of it in 3 dimensions. Here is what I mean. Take this cube, for example. This is 3-dimensional. If we cast a light on the cube, it casts a 2-dimensional shadow on the wall. Shadows of 3-dimensional objects are 2-dimensional. Well, what we see here, this is a 3-dimensional shadow of a rotating 4-dimensional hypercube. Shadows of 4-dimensional objects are 3-dimensional. Kinda crazy? Shadows of 3-dimensional objects are 2-dimensional. So I hope this kind of better explains. This is just basically a shadow. It gets you to think in a higher dimension. We live in a spiritual realm. This isn't just physical. And so I started to understand that science was just a tool to discover physical things in the present. Not even about the past, just in the present. The physical present. It does not deal with the physical past. It does not deal with the spiritual. It doesn't deal with that. Some might say it does. I say it does a little bit because, I mean, if it's right there in front of your face, how can you deny it, right? Anyway, so in 2013, this thing about the 4th dimension, I was in art class in high school. I was very creative. I've always wanted to just be very creative. To this day, I have that. I kind of put it off to the side though because I feel like it broods a lot of vanity.
Almost soft, dude.
Hey, before I go any further, I thought it would be really cool to put in some clips from the movie Flatland. This was actually what really started to get me thinking deeper about the 4th dimension, and it's what got me really excited about how real this concept was, and it really started to arouse my faith in the reality of the spiritual world. It is kind of long if I put all these clips together, so if this whole mathematical 4th dimension thing isn't really your thing, I'm sad to say you're missing out, because this was really thought-provoking and deep and simple in my mind. So I really hope that you can watch it and enjoy it. If not, just skip to the part where I'm talking and we'll just keep going. All right?
You ready for your first sight recognition lesson?
I guess so.
What do you see when you look at me?
A square.
Is that what you really see? Go on.
A line.
Is that all? Now, suppose 2 individuals are approaching. A triangle and a pentagon. Which is which? No touching.
I know this is kind of quirky, but you really have to bear with me because this is really thought-provoking. These creatures see in a different perspective than we do because they're 2-dimensional, so everything they see is within a 1-dimensional line of sight. we see as if everything were in 2 dimensions, and we perceive 3 dimensions because of light and shading and movement. But actually everything that we look through our eyes is actually 2-dimensional. Just like this screen, you see up, down, left, and right. Everything on this screen is just pixels. You can map it out 2-dimensionally. It's pretty trippy. But you see, in 2 dimensions, you could only see in a line of sight that's a line, just a line, and they have to perceive 2-dimensional objects with light, and it's actually harder for them because they're so limited and squashed. So when you're 3-dimensional, looking at a 2-dimensional being, you can actually see their insides. You can see everything. Everything is in plain sight. Well, okay, imagine this, take this further. It's kind of how the spiritual world sees us. They see everything. They see us. They see the inside of us. They see our guts. They see everything. They don't have to look around. They don't have to rely on the light, the movement, the shading. It's still right there. It's all right there in front of their face. So it's really, really thought-provoking when you really start to think and ignore the jargon of the mathematical nonsense. Don't even think about that. This is just really raw, mind-blowing stuff that really got me to get really excited about God, really. I mean, everything up to that point was just dead religion, and I believed, but it wasn't powerful until I really started to seek on my own. And then God started to really honor that, and then gave me a heart to be drawn to Him. So I really hope that this makes that point. These clips are just one thing, one of the many things that got me thinking and snowballing, and I started to catapult further the next year in 2014, and it's what was very instrumental in a lot of things. In the following clip, this guy A Square, he has a dream about Lineland. It's his own imagination because he's now thinking about this type of stuff. He's starting to be concerned about deeper dimensions, more than just 2 dimensions. So it's very subconscious. He still doesn't want to believe in 3 dimensions, but he starts to have this dream about Lineland, and it reveals the hypocrisy of people who live in Lineland because they don't believe in 2 dimensions. Well, then you're going to take it further to 3 dimensions in this movie, and then you're going to take it further to 4 dimensions. So enjoy this clip.
Hello? Hello there? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello there?
I'm King of Lineland, monarch of the world.
What are you, puny-voiced intrusion?
I'm A Square.
A what?
Square.
A what?
A Square.
A squire?
I'm a visitor. Let's say from another world.
There's no world beside Lineland.
Oh, you're wrong about that.
Is that so?
Prove it.
See to the left of you 2 lines, a point, a line, a point, a line, and 2 points. Is that correct?
What do you mean by left?
I mean to your base end. And to the right are 2 points, a line, a point, a line, a point, and 2 lines. Now, how did I know that if I couldn't see them?
Behold me.
I am a line, the longest in Lineland, over 6 inches of space.
Space of length, don't you mean?
Idiot. Space is length.
Don't interrupt me again.
Oh, forgive me, your majesty. Why don't you just feel your neighbors?
What?
Explain yourself.
Feel, touch, come into contact with.
That offense is punishable by death.
Really? Why is that?
And what purpose would be served by touching?
When there is sound.
But isn't life in Lineland just a little dull? I mean, to see nothing but points. Not even be able to see a line.
Mindless man, aren't you?
Mindless? Sounds like your music is mindless. I could tell with the glance how many people are to your right and to your left. And there's nothing easier than a glance.
What is this left and right?
And how could you see the line? The inside of anything?
Left, right? You must mean backward and forward.
No, not so.
Exhibit these directions to me.
I can't. I mean, unless you step out of your line altogether.
Out of my line?
Out of the world?
Out of space?
Well, yes. Out of your world and into the greater plane of 2 dimensions, where all is plane and you can move in 4 directions.
If you can't show this or describe this to me,
Then go away!
Hasn't it occurred to you that you could move in some other direction, towards which your side is facing?
What?
never.
What do you mean by side?
There is before and behind.
Nothing more.
Fine. Let me show you. Here, I'm going to move into your world. Here I come. There. Can you see me now?
Yes?
But
You're only a point!
Well, to you I'm only a point, but in fact I moved into Lineland. Now, I'm going to continue to move, and from your perspective, I'm going to vanish. What did your majesty say now?
Charlatan!
tricks! Tricks!
Come back!
How did you do that?
I moved out of Lineland.
If
Convinced?
you had any sense, the smallest particle of...
You ask me to believe that there's another world? You say there's another motion besides forward and backward.
But when I ask you to show it, all you can do is babble and practice magic tricks.
You must be a madman or dimensionally deficient.
You 6-inch idiot! You think you're the perfection of existence, but in reality, you're the most imperfect. You say you know the world, but all you see is a point. You can't even see lines. Well, I can. In fact, I am a line of lines, a square. In my world, as superior as I am to you, in my world, I'm nothing compared to the greatest of polygons.
Enough!
I'll pierce you through.
Die, evil creature! Die, evil creature! Die!
So if you're still not getting it, basically what happened there was A Square, this 2-dimensional creature, is interacting with a world that only understands 1 dimension. And that's just forward and backward. These people are just lines. And because they cannot see how A Square sees, they don't really believe him. They just think he's another voice within Lineland. So what happens next is now the same thing is going to happen to A Square. A visitor from the 3rd dimension is about to visit him, and A Square is going to act like the people in Lineland. He's not going to believe it, he's not going to understand, he's going to think that he broke in the house. But really what happens is this yellow circle guy that you're about to see pop into his world, this is actually a 3-dimensional sphere person, and he's revealing himself to this 2-dimensional square. And so I want you to picture, as you're seeing this yellow sphere, this yellow circle, that it's actually a sphere floating around in Flatland, and it's just a cross section of him. So what you're actually seeing is he's moving in and out of Flatland, and then there's also another part where you can see him turning around. And so you start to understand that this is actually a 3-dimensional creature. So try to put yourself in this square's perspective, where he can only see in a line and he does not understand 3 dimensions. He's only ever known 2 directions. He has never known about this other dimension. So the crazy part is this sphere actually pulls him out of Flatland, and he starts to see what it really is like to live as a 3-dimensional creature. So as you're watching these next few clips, just keep in mind everything I've been talking about. This yellow circle is a sphere. I'm only gonna show the most key parts of the clip, and it'll show him when he finally gets pulled out of Flatland. So look forward to that part. Enjoy.
What do you have there?
Nothing. Found it on the street. Maybe valuable. I'm gonna go put it in the safe.
Dad?
What is it, Hex?
3 to the 2nd power is 9. What is 3 to the 3rd
Son,
power?
this isn't a good time for a math
In
lesson.
math class, I asked what 3 to the 3rd power means in geometry, and my teacher threatened me with detention.
Well, she should have. Geometry and the world have only 2 dimensions.
But why?
It's the way of the world.
What
Last night,
is
for
a
instance,
square moving somehow parallel to
dream.
itself? What would it make? Like, it must make something else.
It would make a wonderful brain ache. Now go play with your brothers.
But they're all...
Pentagons. Yes, they're pentagons. And you are a hexagon. If you're too good to play with them, then go study in your room and stop talking nonsense.
I can't do anything right.
The boy must be going mad.
He isn't mad! How can you say that? He's just a little confused!
3 to the 3rd power has an obvious meaning.
Oh! Oh! What is that? A point?
No, a line.
It's a demon!
It's a circle.
I'm no demon. You were right the 3rd time. In a sense, I am a circle. A circle more perfect than any seen in Flatland.
Sir, forgive us, but how did you change your circumference? No circle I've heard of can do that. And how did you get in here?
By in here, do you mean Flatland?
Flatland? A woman I met yesterday called the world Flatland.
Did she? Good for her. Madam, I have a message to deliver to your husband.
Forgive me, sir. I must feel you. You have no angles, not a one. Are you a perfect circle?
Yes.
Two eyes! Disgusting! I'm going to
calm
vomit.
down, you silly little square. I am a more perfect being than you.
How can
I am a circle made up of circles. I am perfection. I am a sphere. CEO of Messineo.
What? Where did you come from?
From space.
Aren't you already in space?
What do you know of space?
Space is length and width.
No, there's a 3rd dimension of length, width, and height.
Please, your circular lordship. What direction is this 3rd dimension?
Up, down.
North and south?
Nothing of the kind. A direction in which you cannot look, because you have no eye in your side.
I have an eye. It's on my northwest side.
In order to see in space, you need an eye. Not on your outside, but on your inside, looking
And
up
I am
or
my
down.
Please, sir, this is New Year's Eve. This is just no time for jokes.
I didn't come to joke. I'm from the land of 3 dimensions, 3D. I looked down and saw the plane on which you live. I can see into your churches, your ministries, your banks, your houses, even your insides and stomachs. Everything open and exposed to my view. I saw your 5 sons fighting each other with rubber swords, and your other son, the hexagonal one, was sulking off in his room. Likes to color himself. How do you think I knew that?
We have a name for people like you.
Yes?
Perverts. There are laws, sir. There
I
are
am
laws.
what I say I am.
You must have drilled through the walls. Holes.
Holes? What holes? I tell you, I came from 3-dimensional
You could have filled them back in.
Difficult little creature.
I'm not
Holes?
difficult. I'm a lawyer.
Let's start over. When you
Point out this direction, otherwise leave me alone.
Listen, to you, Flatland is your whole world. To me, it's a flat plane on top of which you move around. You call me a circle. No, I'm an infinite number of circles. A sphere, a solid. When I enter your world, you see a circle. For instance, last night I saw your dream about Lineland.
What?
As clear as a movie on your brain.
Movie?
Never mind. Look, the king of Lineland saw you not as a square, but a point. It's the same for me in Flatland. You're seeing only a slice of me. Watch. I'm going to rise up and down in space. Watch. See? Up, down. Up, down. And now I'm going to rise out of your world altogether.
Where did you go? Where are you?
Here.
Am I still dreaming?
Convinced?
No, it's a chromatist trick.
Idiot. It's no trick. Can't you understand anything? Look, if a point moves north and leaves a luminous wake, what name would you give that wake?
A straight line.
And how many points would it have?
2.
Now, let's move that line parallel to itself, a distance equal to its length. What would you call its wake?
A square.
And how many sides does a square have? How many angles? Points?
4 sides, 4 angles, 4 points!
Now imagine a square moving parallel to itself. Upward.
What do you mean? Northward?
Upward. Pass every point in a square up so that no point passes through any position previously occupied. Each point draws a new line on its own.
You're hurting my brain!
Look, we began with a single point. 1 point produces a line with 2 points. 1 line produces a square with 4 points. 1, 2, 4. What's next?
8?
Yes, it produces something which you do not know the name for, but what we call a cube with 8 points.
This cube has sides?
Yes, but what you call sides, we call faces of a solid in a 3D world.
Well, how many
A
sides?
point has 0 sides. A line has 2 sides. A square has 4 sides. 0, 2, 4. Get it? And now the next number would be...
6?
Yes! You see it now, don't you?
You're a monster! You devil! You die! You die!
What is wrong with your species? I see a brain, but when it comes to imagination, all you try and do is kill something. I come for an apostle of the 3 dimensions and find a fool instead.
I'm no fool.
We're only allowed to appear in your world every 1,000 years. You've been chosen. I can't go change directions and find someone else now. There isn't any time.
I'm just an attorney. I'm not an apostle.
Okay then. How would you convince me if our roles were reversed? How would you convince a jury?
I would have to show them. Directly show them.
Of course. Action, not words. Listen, I can see from here your study. On the wall is a hidden safe, inside of which is a hidden little glowing thing.
It's called a glow point. No, wait.
I'm entering the safe now.
Leave that alone!
Grabbing the glowing thingy, notice that the door does not move. Now I'm in the safe, and I'm taking the glowing thingy. Whoops.
What? What?
It stopped glowing. Well, never mind. Here's your thingy. Notice, the door to the safe is closed. Ta-da! Get it? Me, Spaceland, you, Flatland. I look down on you.
All that you've proven is that you're a skillful thief and a vandal. You fixed my glow point.
You people certainly like your shiny things, don't you? Okay, listen. The higher I go, the further away from Flatland I go, the more I can see. Though, of course, I see it on a smaller scale. For example, now I can see your neighbor's house and your 5 pentagonal suns banging against its side.
I told them to stay inside.
Now I'm going far, far up. Buildings, buildings, buildings. How about if I touch you?
Touch me.
Sure, just a little touch. Gently, here, in your stomach.
What's happening, Dad?
Why are you stuck in the corner? Where's the priest?
Go back to your rooms, both of you.
Should I use my peace cross?
Just go. Go.
There's only one other thing to do. It's never been done before. I suppose I'll have to do it.
Do what? Murder me? You've done everything else.
Nothing of the sort. It will be painful, and I could get into trouble. But I've got no choice if the gospel of 3 dimensions is to be revealed. Hang on, Apostle. 1, 2, 3. Out of Flatland we go!
Insane! What have you done to me?
Lifted you out of Flatland into reality. Steady. There. Can you stand? Rest on your bottom hairs for a moment.
What is this pressure? It's pushing me southward. My south hairs hurt.
Oh, that. You'll get used to that.
Okay.
That's just gravity. Something we all have to contend with in Spaceland. Nothing to worry about.
Now that I see you, all of you, you're so perfect. Your circularity is beyond circularity. Everywhere you're circular and divine and perfect. A divine ideal of loveliness and wisdom.
Feel free to worship me at any time. But first, let's take a look at where you've been.
Look, a Flatlander. You can see their insides. I see!
I take it that my experiment worked. I hope my ends will justify my means. Care to see yourself?
Myself? How can I see myself? I'm inside of myself.
In 3D, you can have reflections. Light can bounce off an object, which you can use to see yourself. Here.
That's me?
No, it's your reflection.
Thank you. Thank you for showing me this. I see now. I see everything. Everything. I understand it all. I can see.
Wow, look at that. He basically leaves Flatland and he is just in awe of everything he sees. He's overcome with this childlike approach to life now. He's not stuck in his ways anymore.
See everything. You've given me the eyes of God.
You can see what any fool in the world of 3D can see.
The Great Hall. Now that I'm in Spaceland, I can get past the soldiers to see if my brother is inside.
Now you're thinking in 3D. I've got business there too. Let's go.
Oh, there he is! Hey, B! B!
Looks like your elite priests are gathering for the millennial meeting.
Whereas the saints have been troubled by ill-intentioned persons pretending to have received revelations of 3 dimensions every 1,000 years since time began. It has been unanimously resolved by the Grand Council that on the first day of each millennium, all such apostles of the 3 dimensions shall be imprisoned and executed 3 days hence.
Didn't you hear your fate pronounced by your flat-headed brethren? Death or imprisonment awaits the apostle of 3D.
They'll understand. It's so clear to me the nature of 3D. I could get a child to understand it. Put me down right now. I'm sure that I could go down there and talk to them.
I have to perform my mission. In fact, unless I miss my guess, your president is waiting for me. You stay here. Time for reality to intrude into Flatland once again. I come to proclaim there is a land of 3 dimensions.
Guard!
Stop that! I am a perfect circle, a divine sphere. Listen to me, you flat brains.
I got
Hear
him.
my word.
No, where is he?
Hear my word.
Where did he go?
God!
These soldier triangles must be put to death right away. All of them. There, that's done. No trace, no harm. These are serious times, gentlemen, and must be met with determination and resolve. My lords, the business of the council being over, I wish you all Happy New Year. Be square. I haven't forgotten you. My dear assistant, for the sake of secrecy, you too should die. But since you've been loyal and, for the most part, efficient, I'll spare you your life and grant you instead life imprisonment. However, should you ever mention what you've seen today, you'll be executed. Attend to your configuration, and Happy New Year. Guard.
Mr. President, I promise I won't say a word. Not a word. Please, please. You don't know what you're doing. There really is a 3rd dimension. Listen
Give it
to
up,
me.
Mr. Attorney.
Let me go back. Let me talk to them.
How was the mission? Over.
I'll file a report as soon as I can get back, Round
So
Table.
he actually starts to talk to A-Sphere, the guy who revealed himself in, the third dimension guy, he actually talks to him, and then A-Sphere argues with him and tells him, oh, that's nonsense, that's not real. But actually, he takes it further, and he thinks that there could be a fourth dimension.
Not a plane. Not a plane. A solid. 6 planes, 8 terminal points, angles, a square moving parallel to himself in space. Yes, I am a part of this. Oh, this is bliss. What wonder to know so much.
That's enough. We can't go on like this forever, you know. Thank you, Carlson.
Carlton.
Now, lesson 2.
Your pardon, great sphere of 3D, but might I be granted a look at your insides?
My what?
Your stomach, brain, heart.
What the devil are you talking about?
When I was feeling the cube, a light overwhelmed me, and I saw more and farther than I've ever seen before.
Uh-huh.
But what I saw, or sensed, or felt was that a dimension greater than yours existed. Just as I am to you, so must you be to someone else. If your dimension is greater and purer than mine, then there must be a fourth dimension even greater and purer than yours. Oh, good friend, philosopher, priest, don't you see what you've taught me? Some yet more spacious space, some more dimensionable dimensionality lies beyond this one.
Time's short. We've got a lot to do before you're fit to proclaim the 3 dimensions.
Please, sir, let me see your insides.
Well, in the first place, your request makes no sense. In the second place, I can't turn myself inside out.
But you showed me the insides of Flatland by taking me from the land of 2 dimensions into the land of 3. Please, take me into a 4th dimension so that we can look onto the land of 3D and see the secrets of solids.
And where is this land of 4 dimensions supposed to be?
Oh, doubtless you, a great teacher of dimensionality greater than mine. Surely you know where it is.
Damned if I do. There is no such place. The very idea. Inconceivable.
You taught me that when I see a line in Flatland and infer a plane, in reality I see a 3rd dimension. Not the same as brightness, but one called height. So it follows that in Spaceland, when I see a plane and infer a solid, I really see a 4th, unrecognized dimension. Just as the monarch of Lineland couldn't turn right or left or see Flatland. So I couldn't see Spaceland even though it was all around me. So there must be a 4th dimension outside Spaceland. Tell me, has anyone seen any, visitors here in Spaceland?
A few madmen, the usual visionaries, delusions, brainstorms, nothing worth writing about.
Well, tell me, did any of these delusions appear and vanish
Well,
suddenly?
that's how the stories sometimes go. A story written by the deluded, mentally sick brains.
Well, maybe they come from...
I thought I told you not to disturb me.
I'm sorry, sir. The board of directors are here.
We've got a problem, eh?
What?
Your e-com was leaked to the public.
When? I just submitted
Public
it.
opinion is against us. They think you've made a terrible mistake.
There's no need to be worried. Just be polite. Try not to say too much. Yes and no answers. Be as Boolean and binary as you can be. No pressure, but the zeros in the Senate may have enough votes to win.
The zeros?
Political faction. They've got a momentum because I brought you out of Flatland. They think Flatland's an abomination and should be wiped out.
What?
It disturbs them that there are creatures such as yourself. They think we shouldn't be trying to teach you the gospel of 3D. They think we should be putting you out of your misery.
Misery?
Well, just don't say anything stupid.
I understand everything. I just don't have the words.
Mr. Square, it sounds as if the government has made a terrible mistake in chartering A-Sphere's company to perform millennium duty. It sounds as if you are incapable of understanding the gospel of the 3 dimensions.
No, your worship. That's not true. I understand. And I know there are dimensions even beyond it. You've all led me into a world of understanding that I can never repay. Surely you as great divine solids can understand. There is always something beyond. There is always infinity.
What's he doing? Mr. Square, are you all right? Mr. Square, can you hear me?
okay?
What's the matter with it?
It's gravity. He must return, and soon.
And so this is exactly what I was going through in real life, what A Square is going through, but I was taking it further, and it really started to get me thinking about the Lord and the reality of everything, miracles, the immaterial, all that sort of stuff. So it started to really make more sense to me. Enjoy the rest of this. It gets kind of insane towards the end, this whole thing about infinity, and it's really cool.
Good luck teaching the gospel of 3D.
No, please don't send me back. I can't bear to go
A-Square,
back.
I'm afraid I won't be answering any calls from Flatland for the next 1,000 years.
So this thought about the fourth dimension really got me to seek. And then I started thinking about the spiritual realm. When I was in 11th grade, I was writing these essays in AP class, so I was starting to be a deep thinker. I was starting to really think, you know, and I feel like that was a gift from God. Like I said, I believe a lot of it could be a tool for vanity, but it could also be something that the Lord was giving me to help me seek Him, to draw me into Him. Like Jesus says, no one can come to me unless the Father draws him. Okay? So He was drawing me with these deep thoughts about reality itself, down to the particle, down to why does time exist? You know, Einstein type of stuff.
The three greatest mysteries since the very beginning of science have been time, space, and matter. The origin of one should explain the origin of all three. The Rubik's Cube puzzle of science, the Holy Grail. Let's take a crack at it right at the start of this video. The material world is comprised, the very fabric of the material world, made of an atomic world. All of it, from the air that you breathe, to the earth that you're standing on, to the planets. Illusion of reality. And the stars above are all made of an atomic world. Beginning in the 1920s, the era of Einstein, Max Planck, and these other guys, they ran into a serious problem. You dive right beneath that, which is comprised of a subatomic world, a subatomic matrix. And you're in your subatomic world, the place where the numbers go absolutely haywire. When they tried to pinpoint the exact location of subatomic particles, they found that it was utterly impossible. It's in fact at that point that you run into the scary measurement problem that we're going to talk about. Then you would think if you dug all the way down to the center, that little nucleus guy right there that's floating loose, maybe he would be solid. Nope, same thing. Little dots all poking around so fast, and boom, the spot where the paradox began. Statistical probabilities to make the illusion of the material world. So let's recap this thing just to get a grip on what we're dealing with here. The quantum worlds are literally the framework of this entire place, the thing that we call reality itself, the foundation that actually makes up every single science of this place. So we're in an enormous black abyss of space on a little blue rock of hyper-intensified life and order. In the ancient book of Hebrews, it actually states a very fascinating thing. In the 11th chapter, the 3rd verse, it says, "For we know by faith that it was with words of God that the worlds were formed, that what is seen is made from that which is unseen." Another translation of words is vibrations, as men speak words of sound that go a matter of feet and last only a couple of seconds. Perhaps God himself speaks substance. So is reality totally internalized into the little bitty universe that we live in, or is the scope of things a little bit larger than that? Wasn't it Albert Einstein who said, "Those of us that believe in physics understand that reality is nothing more than a stubbornly persistent illusion"? If that's true, then one might ask, where's the illusion coming from?
Very deep, trying to corner reality itself and really seeing why does it exist? Why do we even exist? It sounds ridiculous. We should just not exist at all, right? Because how did this come from something else? When you think about it, that gives me the reason to worship God. Because how can you explain how God always was? I don't know, but he always was. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to worship him.